recently hit 1,000 miles. First 1,000 miles on this beast. It looks so good. I love this bike. Not more than this. Alright, alright. Just to show you guys, when the bike is not warmed up, it shows me that technically I shouldn't go over 9,000 RPMs. Just give it some time and then it's gonna go to 11, which is how it usually is. And right when I turn it on, I believe it, like the orange kind of like line is at 8. So that's a cool feature, just telling you that you shouldn't ride the bike hard when it's cold. It's at 120. I think at 125 is when it's gonna switch to the 11. So let's see. 22. Oh, 124. There it is. And we're back at the sketchy light that I have to run because it does not turn green because the bike is too light and it doesn't sense me. Anyways, it's getting dark, so I'll get this video going faster than usual. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing well. Today's video topic is going to be the 5 things I like about the Ducati Panigale 1199. Since last time, oh, it's green. Since last time I made a video about the 5 things I hate about this bike. Let's see. Really? He switches lanes and then he turns on the blinkers. People can't drive, man. Alright. So yeah, the first thing that I love about this motorcycle has to be, I know I said that about the H2, but it applies to this bike too, is the uniqueness and the looks of this bike. I think this is a very like good looking motorcycle, and whenever you see a Ducati, is not as common of a motorcycle as your typical big four Japanese bikes, which are Kawasaki, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Honda. This is more of a kind of unique brand. It's Italian, so you know it has a little more prestige to it, if that makes sense. Not that most people would care, but I don't know, I like that about it. It's like, it's a fancier machine. It's not your average typical motorcycle. And if you guys know, that's why I have the H2. Well, one of the many reasons I have the H2 is that I like more unique bikes. So yeah, this vehicle is definitely more unique. It looks beautiful, as you guys have seen. Maybe I'll show you like pictures or a couple clips of the bike. And that's one of the first, like the Ducati 959 was probably the first motorcycle that I was ever obsessed with when I was like a child. Like I saw a white 959 and that's when I was hooked. I was like, oh my god, these bikes are so beautiful. And the Ducati 959 and Kawasaki Ninja, I didn't know what Ninja, but all I knew is that Kawasaki Ninja, these are the 2 bikes that I liked. Why is this light taking forever? Oh, every time. Does this happen to you guys? Whenever you say like that a light is taking a while, it just turns green. I know it's kind of like the opposite of what I said in the 5 things I hate about this bike, because last video I said that one of the things I hate about this bike is the fact that it's a Ducati, and that means that you're gonna pay double maintenance. Someone told me, it's a joke, but it's really funny, that the D in Ducati stands for double the price of maintenance, which is completely right. You know, you're gonna pay way more in parts and maintenance to have this bike. But I didn't say this in the last video. It's somewhat worth it. Like, if this wasn't a daily bike, then that would totally be worth it. Yes, I might have not made the best choice by getting this bike since I wanted a daily bike, but I still really enjoy this bike. Like, it's a lot of fun. I enjoy all the things about it, and I don't really kind of like regret getting it. It's an amazing experience that I felt like I needed to own a Ducati to kind of like understand. And this is definitely like one of my favorite bikes that I've ridden, because I'm more into like a thrilling ride, and that's gonna be number 2 about the things I like about this bike, is just how fun it is to ride. I think a big part about this topic is because of the torque. This bike has a lot of torque. Like, even in 6th gear, it always picks up, and I really like that. I like having the power right there at all times, whenever I need it. Like, I don't even need to drop gears. Like, you see this? I went the fastest car to give it a little bit of gas. I'm not even like close to giving it like half throttle. I just gave it a tiny bit of a twist, and you can hear the engine starting to kind of like pick up and scream. It's just really fun to ride. And I've never been a big fan of canyon riding until I got this bike, because it just, I don't know, man, like coming off a turn, even in turns, it's like super like easy to maneuver. It just wants to lean. It's made for that. And right after turns, like, that torque means a lot. It's so much fun, and it just makes it a perfect kind of like track. And like, you see this? 6th gear, I just give it a little bit of gas and I'm ahead. The third point is definitely the weight of the bike and how nimble it is. I guess you can somewhat relate that to like it being a fun ride, but I think it should be in its own class, just because not only it makes it more fun, but also makes it easier to ride. Like, I rode an Aprilia, I rode an R1, I rode a ZX-10, and all these bikes, they're like heavier, bigger bikes, which means they're not as easy to like kind of control. Like, this bike, right when I rode it, it was extremely comfortable. Yes, I'm coming from an H2, which means like I already have a lot of experience with a fast bike, but being on 1,000 always gives you, no matter how good of a rider you are, always gives you that little kind of like feel that you're like, damn, like this is a lot of bike, you know? On this bike, it's a very sweet middle point where, yes, it is a lot of bike because you do have all the power that you could ever want, but at the same time, it doesn't give you that feel that it's like, whoa, this is a lot of bike, you know? Like, you can easily like kind of like, it's so much easier to throw around simply because it weighs so much less than the other bikes I mentioned. Also, it is a smaller bike in general, which also could be why it's like so much better to handle. So this is why I put this as a separate point. It's just because like it actually makes the ride easier and not just more fun. And I believe that's mainly because of how like kind of like small, compact, and light this bike is. Number 4 is just like, I believe that most thousands, especially at this year, because like 2020, there's a lot of technology, but I have to mention this point is all the technology this bike has. Like, keep in mind, this is a 2014 bike, so it's not the newest motorcycle, yet it has, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it was a little lighter outside when we first started this video, and the dash was white, and now it's black. Like, you know, it just automatically switches, so it's like more comfortable to look at. And look at that beautiful display. You have the time over here, you have the amount of miles which you can also change to your trips, A, B, or F, I believe, and then you have I'll show you this one. You have the current temperature of the bike, which is currently at 169, and then if I go down, it'll show you your average mile per gallon consumption, which is, well, since we're moving, this is not the average, this is your current, and you see how it like difference, because now I'm not gassing as much, it's giving me something a little higher, and if I gas it, it's gonna drop to like 15 or 16, and if I'm just cruising, it's at like usually 40, now I'm barely giving it gas, it's like 55, but if I click it again, my average fuel consumption, which is at 30.3 miles per gallon. For a bike that has this much power, this is amazing. And I believe it's also like good on gas because, well, I have a stock exhaust and a stock tune, I guess, if you would call that a tune. Like, I haven't tuned the bike. And also the fact that I already mentioned that this bike is light. You know, when the bike is light, it doesn't need as much kind of like power to push the motorcycle. It just like gets moving easier. And what's next? My speed average is 45 miles per hour. I don't understand that. Most of the time I'm on the freeways, but I guess that's what it is. I guess I can add to number 4 is, besides like the technology and all the features the bike has, is also like the finish of the motorcycle. Like, you just feel like you're on a very premium bike. Nothing about it feels cheap, which is why you're paying a premium price for it. It's not a cheap bike because it's very well made, and it's like there has been a lot of thought and consideration while making this bike. Look at this sunset. For the 5th and last point that I want to mention about this bike, which I think you guys might not care about this, but I think is really cool, is the fact that it comes with an exhaust that sounds good. Like, yes, at some point I'm definitely gonna want a better sounding exhaust, but unlike my other bikes, this wasn't the first mod that I was thinking about, you know what I mean? Usually when other bikes, right when I get another bike or a new bike, it comes with that stupid big ass muffler. First thing I do is remove that, buy an exhaust, put it on so it sounds like a real bike. Not this bike though. This bike sounds good. Yes, it could be like better, but it still sounds really good in my opinion for a stock motorcycle. This is what the video is, the things I like about this bike, and this is one thing that like I didn't feel like I had to do as soon as possible and spend a lot of money, because usually exhausts are really expensive, especially for this bike, as I mentioned in my last video. I like that I don't have to do that as soon as possible. This exhaust just sounds, it doesn't sound great, but it doesn't sound bad at the same time, you know, like I'm happy with it. Even though I'm definitely gonna get an exhaust at some point for this bike. Yeah, that was the last point. So let's do a quick recap like I always do. First point I mentioned was just the fact that this is a Ducati, and just all the like kind of cool design features and like the way the bike looks and the uniqueness of it and all that. I believe number 2 was how fun this motorcycle is to ride, like how torquey it is and how like just like thrilling it is to ride this bike. Number 3 was just the weight of the bike, which is pretty much like makes it handle way better. Number 4 was all the technology and features and the premium feel that this bike gives you. I guess premium feel can apply also to the first point, but yeah, so that was number 4. And the 5th and last one was the fact that it comes with a decently sounding exhaust, as you guys can hear. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.